Hi friends, thanks so much for being here. In this video, we'll be unboxing not one, but two boxes. Yes, it's a double unboxing from Once Upon a Book Club. Mainly because I had some catching up to do, but also because both these boxes had a historical fiction book with a twist. Once Upon a Book Club is a unique book box experience because you get a book and some gifts, and then when you read the book you get to post-its on certain pages and you get to open one of those gifts. So that's a very fun and immersive concept, and their boxes look like actual books. I don't know what happened to this one. I think it was the sun because the color is so off. It's supposed to look like this. But somehow the sun turned it into this. And in case you wanna buy a box from Once Upon a Book Club or other stuff from their web shop, because they also sell separate items from previous boxes, definitely use my discount code LeandaBooks10 to get 10% off your first purchase. As always, I have read both these books, so this will be a book review and an unboxing. And before we take our first look, I just want to say thank you to my patrons. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for your support. And if you feel like it is something for you, come join us. Head over to patreon.com, type in my name, or click on the link in my description. Let's start with box number one. We have got 4 gifts: the book The Spanish Daughter by Lorena Hughes, and some paper items. Let's first talk a little bit about this book. After that, we'll open the corresponding gifts. I have thoughts on this book, but I wrote them down in my reading journal, which is up there. It's actually something that I got from Once Upon a Book Club, a really great gift. So let me just get that so I can read my thoughts to you guys. Here it is, my reading journal. I am definitely not in a reading slump. I'm reading like 8 books a month or something. My reading goal is to read 100 books this year. Fingers crossed. This book is definitely historical fiction, but as I said in the intro, with a twist. And in this case, it's mystery. You could almost call it a whodunit because someone does get murdered and then our main character has to solve the case. The book has 283 pages and the author, Lorena Hughes, is from Ecuador originally, and part of this book takes place in Ecuador. So I thought that was pretty interesting. The book has multiple POVs, but the main character by far is Purification, short for Puri. And Puri has a passion for chocolate, and she knows that she has inherited this from her father, who owns a cacao plantation in Ecuador. But it's not until her father's death that she knows that she has inherited something from him. So she and her husband, Cristobal, something like that, cross the Atlantic Ocean by ship or boat. I don't know. No ship. It's a ship. But then something really horrible happens because when a mercenary sent to murder her aboard the ship accidentally kills her husband instead. Puri dons her husband's clothes and assumes his identity, hoping to stay safe while she searches for the truth of her father's legacy in Ecuador. While I was reading this book, it constantly reminded me of one of those telenovelas. I think it was partly because of the disguise that Puri wore, because I felt like it was very, very obvious that she was a woman in man's clothes. It just seemed implausible, especially for the time periods and the ways she describes the disguise. And then also the writing style came in waves, kind of, from being realistic to being overly dramatic. So sometimes the response from the sisters especially were just a little bit dramatic. So at some points I was really into it and I didn't want to stop reading, but then at other times I was like, meh, I don't care. I did really like the murder mystery aspect of this book. I mean, I'm not the best at solving these mysteries, but it was really a plot twist for me. I didn't see it coming. And I also really liked the chocolate part, although I thought that would play a bigger role within the story, especially because on the back it says that it's about the healing power of hope, resilience, love, and chocolates. So my expectations weren't really met when it came to the chocolate parts. I mean, there is a scene where Puri makes chocolate for other people and then they talk. But I think that was it. Overall though, I really did enjoy it. I thought it was a really refreshing book. It has a lot of different elements, and if you don't mind a writing style that is a little bit dramatic, I would definitely recommend this book, and I gave it 4 stars. If you read the book and you have a different opinion, let me know in the comments. I love to read them. On to the gifts. The first one can be found on page 41. So as you can see, there's a little post-it that says, open your gift. This is a part where all the siblings are together. The father has just deceased and the lawyer is reading his will. As Aquilino continued reading, that's the lawyer, in that monotone he used every time he opened his mouth, Angelica fanned herself faster. I resisted the urge to turn in her direction. I could only imagine the resentment that a woman like Angelica might feel about not being her father's primary beneficiary. Don Cristobal, Aquilino said, lifting his head from the paper. Ecuadorian law is specific when it comes to inheritances. With Doña Purification's passing, so that's Puri, the main character, but she is dressed as her husband, so she's fooling everyone. Her portion of the will is to be divided among her siblings. And this is a corresponding gift. It comes in this box with, I think these are cacao plants all over it. And then inside, and this corresponds to the one sentence that says, fanned herself faster. It's a fan. And at first I was like, why does it have a long side and a shorter side? But it's one of those, am I doing it wrong? It's one of those that you move like this and then you have a round fan. And I love the flower design. We've got pink roses. So that's definitely a nice and original gift and something I am going to use on my balcony in the summer. Just to be clear. Moving on to the second gift. I think this is one of the flashbacks. Yeah, so we get flashbacks every now and then, these in-between chapters from the other siblings, and in this case it's Angelica. The guests were gathering downstairs already. My hands trembled as I put my sapphire earrings on. Sylvia had been right. Blue suited me. My mother had agreed blindly with all of Sylvia's suggestions, not caring much for terrestrial affairs herself. My mother came from humble origins. She was one of 8 siblings, and all of them considered her the luckiest girl in El Milagro, her hometown, to have found a rich foreigner to marry her. That was the lie they told everybody. The truth was, my father already had a wife in Europe, but both of my parents acted as if his real wife was nothing but a long-lost relative. So that's a little bit of background story that you get with these in-between chapters about how Puri came into this family. And this is the gift that comes with it. We got another small box with cacao beans. And inside this box, I mean, every time I film a video or drop something, it's a gift. I believe these are gold plated, and then we have 2 blue, almost translucent stones that represent the sapphires. I didn't try them on yet, but I do really like how they look. I said this in the last video I did from Once Upon a Book Club, but normally I am not the biggest fan of their jewelry, but they're doing a good job lately. And I don't have a lot of blue earrings, so I'm definitely going to be wearing these. And I love how the stone kind of reflects the light. The next gift, what's this? Oh, right. For this next gift, it is another chapter about Puri, who is still dressed as her husband, her late husband, Cristobal, and she is making chocolate. I spent the rest of the afternoon preparing chocolate drinks and truffles for Lorena and my sisters. Just like Martin and Bachita, my sisters were in awe as the beans transformed in the mill. Lorena, not so much. He said he tasted better in his native country. It must be the ingredients, they are purer in France. But my sisters didn't care about those details, and they didn't even bother waiting for the truffles to cool down completely. They were captivated and ate chocolate until their stomachs ached. I forgot I was supposed to be on guard around them and laughed as they licked their fingers, all etiquette gone, and their mouths were filled with chocolate. If only my father would have brought me here when I was younger, I would have grown up with these women. How lonely I'd been in my mother's quiet apartment, always surrounded by adults. This is another fun gift, if you ask me. So it comes in this beautiful bag with flowers all over it. And inside, it's a recipe card and a chocolate mold. The recipe reads hot cocoa bombs. This is definitely one of those gifts that I would never buy myself, but because it came in a box, I'm definitely gonna try it out. So that's really fun. I love chocolate. I think that's really fun. I really want to try to make chocolate balls. Another good gift. I feel like the fireplace is gonna give up on me in a couple of minutes. The fireplace is back. And the final post-it is in one of the last chapters, so this could be considered a spoiler. So if you still want to read this book, then maybe skip this part. As my siblings and my father's lawyer stared at me, I removed my spectacles and set them on the coffee table. Then I pulled off my beard and mustache, relieved that this would be the last time I would ever have to wear that dreadful thing. Their faces transformed from confusion to shock. As I removed my jacket, so relieved, as if I'd been unlocking a pair of handcuffs from my wrists, I spoke with my regular voice. I am Maria Purification. I raised my chin. I was not ashamed of what I'd done, especially now that I figured everything out. This is the corresponding gift. It's just a plastic bag with a red pattern on it, and inside there is... Oh, I definitely did not open this gift. There is a beard. So it's kind of the disguise that is described in the book. That's really fun. This is gonna look so terrible. Oh wait, that's not for my nose, that's for my mouth. Oh, wow. Yeah, nobody's gonna notice now that I'm a female. Yes, definitely a man. Hello. I can scare my boyfriend probably if I wear this tonight. Okay, anyways, obviously this is just a fun gift and I really appreciate it because that's what the whole book is about. Like, is there beard hair in my eye? Oh my gosh. And then this is a great hat. If I would see this in a store, I would probably buy it. It's a great summer hat. It's too bad I can't show you guys because I have a high ponytail now, so it's not gonna fit on my head, but I really like this. And then next to the gifts, we always get the bookmark and the quote card. And the quote reads, "Sometimes it's better to talk about those things that upset us or give us grief. You may find that it relieves your soul." And at the back of the quote card is a letter from the author. All right, there was an extra paper item in this box, and this is a map of the plantation 1920 Ecuador, where the story mostly takes place. And then at the back there is some more information from the author. I feel like there are beard hair still like all over me. The book club kit with a cacao bean on the back, and inside, as always, a conversation with the author, discussion questions, and read-along dates. Overall, I thought this was a strong box. I obviously liked the book. I really liked the gifts. I thought everything was very good quality this time, very original. This was a pretty great box. So that was box number 1 when it comes to historical fiction with a twist. Now let's move on to box number 2, the one that didn't get a lot of sunshine, so it still has its original color. And I believe the theme for this one is weird and wonderful. Yes, it's not a good box. When we open the box, the paper items are on top. The book Circus of Wonders by Elizabeth MacNeal and 3 gifts. We usually get paper bags, but lately they've given us more hardcovers. I'm really happy with that because, as you can see, I have a lot of hardcovers. And this is a historical fiction with a fantasy twist. There's not really a lot of magic, more magical realism, I want to say. And I believe that this book came signed. Well, all the books come signed. Actually, you get a piece of paper with a signature from the author, and then I just put them in the book. This is described as an addictive novel about power, fame, and a love that is threatened by a terrible secret. The story takes place in the 1860s in England, and at this time there's circus mania. So everyone wants to see the circus, be a part of a circus. And most thrilling of all are not the animals, but the human wonders. So there's this circus called Jasper Jupiter's Circus of Wonders. Hence the title. Jasper and his circus go to this poor coastal village, and a young girl's life changes forever. She is sold to Jasper against her will as the leopard girl. She is covered in spots, marks. And at first she is devastated about this because she's basically being kidnapped. But after a while, she gets accustomed to her role, she gets used to all the attention, and she becomes the queen of moon and stars. But then Nell, this is the leopard girl, becomes more famous than Jasper. So jealousy plays a big part, and then also Jasper's brother Toby falls for the leopard girl. No longer the quiet flower picker, Nell knows her own place in the world, and she will fight for it. You can probably already tell that this is really a unique story. It's definitely something else, and that's what I liked about both these book picks. It's very unique, it's very refreshing, and that's really hard to do when it comes to books. It could also be the fact that I don't read a lot of historical fiction. My main genre is fantasy, but I feel like both these books are pretty original. The emphasis is on the historical fiction part, on the characters, how they deal with being different, how they grow from that, and how they use it as their strength. It's also about love and just creating and finding your own family. And it's also about making big, difficult life decisions. What do you value more? Again, we follow multiple POVs. We follow the two brothers, so Jasper and Toby, and then also Nell, the leopard girl. By far, she has the most chapters, but all POVs add something to the overall story. It is a really good story if you ask me, but it didn't always hold my attention, even though these are really short chapters, so I don't know what that was. I think it was the writing style. Sometimes it felt a little bit too vague, maybe. I loved the setting. I mean, the circus setting, all the different characters. Loved that. This was probably part of the charm, but I felt everyone was quite extreme. Jasper is this really narcissistic and egoistic guy, and then Toby is this big brute with a small heart. He's just really sweet and always thinking about someone else. And then there's Nell, who's this independent woman who will stop at nothing and will just burn the place down if she doesn't get what she wants, kind of. So every character was portrayed quite extreme. I tend to like more realistic characters, and I honestly felt it was a missed opportunity that the author waited until the very end, so the author's note tell us about the historical part of this story. That should have been at the beginning, because he tells us a little bit about how these human wonders were displayed in the 1860s or around that time period. So there was this woman called Julia Pastrana, a singer and performer from Mexico, and she had hypertrichosis. So she had hair all over her, and then she also had a child. And then upon her death, she was toured as a mummy, and she was not buried until 2012. And then she gives other examples of these human wonders, and that's where the inspiration for this story came from. So I thought that was a really important part, and I felt that would have added to the reading experience. Good story. Could have been better. I gave it 3.5 stars. Now let's move on to the gifts. We got a total of 3 gifts in this box. The first post-it can be found on page 86. This is a chapter about Nell, the leopard girl, and Toby, and this is one of the first moments that Nell realizes that she is a performer. The villagers treated her marks like a problem to be fixed, an aberration, even an omen. That girl, Nellie, the flower picker, made herself so small. Toby packs her image to a washing line in a gap between a hunchback woman and a snake charmer. Nell touches the corner of it. For as long as she can remember, she was told she had little chance of changing her life, that she would only ever be a spinster, her narrative petering out. But here, she could transform herself into anything. A fairy, a queen, a creature flying across the sky. She could make her own money, and a lot of it too. The corresponding gift comes in this adorable purple bluish box with stars all over it. So it's kind of a night sky. And when we open the box, there's a piece of paper that represents the washing line with the pictures on it. And I believe these are original pictures. There's a woman with a snake, a woman that kind of has marks all over her. And the last one I believe is a little woman. And then inside this box, a washing line, which is pretty unique on its own. But this one, if you put batteries in it at least, lights up. And I believe these, yeah, you can actually use this. So you can put pictures on a washing line. I think this can look great in any room, but especially above your bed or something and you have these Polaroids, that's gonna look great. Moving on to the next post-it. In this part, we follow Nell and her brother Charlie. And Charlie saw that Nell got kidnapped, and Charlie has looked for her ever since. Nell didn't know this. Before she can change her mind, she reaches into her pillowcase and rips the seams. Notes spill out. 3 weeks of earnings that she has barely dented. When the London shows began, Jasper increased her wages to £20 a week, a sum so large she could hardly believe it. There's almost £60 here, she says, cramming it into a cloth bag. For America, where Mary's had her baby. Enough for the steamer, and you can put the rest toward a bit of land. His eyes are wide, horrified. Where did she get this money? I am paid here. I am paid well. But this much? Please, take it. I'll earn more soon. He nods, slips the pouch into his vest. And the gift comes in this beautiful bag that I do not want to throw away. I'm gonna say that this is Jasper. Then there's a clown, an elephant, the circus itself, a sea lion, a horse. It's just really pretty. I'm almost sad that it says page 158. And when we open this gift, there's a pillowcase inside. So we did get another pillowcase quite recently. That was a little bit of a rough material. This one is soft, so I like this one better. And wait till you see the design. It's so pretty. I mean, look at that. That's like a fairy tale on its own. And then at the back, there's the same print, but then there's also this kind of pouch, and there's something in the pouch. So there are 3 coins. I can only assume that this represents the money, and I think that the woman that is on the coin represents Nell, the queen of moon and stars. And then I don't really know what this is for because the pillow has a pouch. I don't know what you should do with that. Is that a thing that you can put your book in your pillow? But I don't know if that's the function. So if you guys know what this is for, let me know. And I just really like this pillow. It looks really like old, vintage, but also magical, and it's soft. And then for the final post-it, this is one of the later chapters, so this could be considered as a spoiler because there's a new character that you do not know of when you start reading the book. So if you don't want to hear about the new character, then maybe skip this part. The talk of stories makes Nell want to read. She lies against Toby, hungering to tip it into something more, but aware of the child too, and content just to be held by him. They turn the pages of fairy tales. Pearl's breath is quiet, her mouth sleeping in its cage. Her girl is safe. They are safe. There will be a show soon, she tells herself. They will find a way. Only briefly does she remember the shock of Jasper's hand on her wrists, and she places her head in the crook of Toby's shoulder. He turns the page of The Little Mermaid, and there is a woodcut with a line beneath it. I know what you want, said the sea witch. It is very stupid of you, but you shall have your way, and it will bring you to sorrow, my pretty princess. This is a gift, and let me tell you, this is a really good one. At least I think so. It's wrapped like a present, and when we open the present, there's a book inside, and at first I thought it was a notebook, but it's actually a storybook. It's Grimm's Fairy Tales, illustrated by Arthur Rackham. There's a pattern on the edges and a lot of fairy tales. For example, the Frog King, the three little men in the forest, Hansel and Gretel, that's Hans en Grietje in Dutch. It's a very famous children's tale here. Little Red Cap, I think you guys know it as Red Riding Hood. Rumpelstiltskin. There's even a story called The Mother-in-Law. That's not going to end well. It's just a lot of fairy tales by the Brothers Grimm. I mean, it's a book in a book box. So I'm really impressed with this one, and now I get why we only got 3 gifts, because I think this was a little bit more valuable than the other gifts. And of course, we also got the bookmark and the quote cards. With the quote, "Her women with their soft, strong bodies. They belong only to themselves." And of course, at the back, a letter from the author. And in this case, it's handwritten. And of course, the book club kit with a conversation with the author, discussion questions, and read-along dates. And at the back, I haven't even looked at this. It is Bessie's Candied Violets. Who's Bessie? Probably one of the people at the circus. I don't remember. Anyways, Bessie's Candied Violets. It looks really yummy. And that was everything in the second Once Upon a Book Club box. I mean, by far, my favorite item is the book, but I enjoyed all the gifts in this box. So yeah, another strong box. If I had to choose between these two, I would say that the Spanish Daughter won, because I just like the book a little bit more and the gifts a little bit more. But honestly, both these boxes were so much fun. And I'm looking forward to the next box. I think it's already on its way. And I feel like Once Upon a Book Club box has a lot of good things in store for us in 2022. So I'm really excited for that. And that was it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, then please give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching, and let's stay in touch.